We will turn our focus again to rational equations. Recall that a rational equation is an equation that contains rational expressions. Rational equations are undefined at values that make the denominator 0. We solve these equations by multiplying each side by the least common denominator, but we have to be mindful that that process may introduce extraneous solutions. An example is 1 divided by x minus 1 minus 2x divided by x plus 1 equals 2 divided by x plus 1. The least common denominator is the product of those different factors, x minus 1 times x plus 1. The restrictions on our variable, that is, the values that make the denominator 0, are that x cannot equal 1 and x cannot equal negative 1. We multiply each side of the equation by that common denominator x minus 1 times x plus 1, which is equivalent to distributing to each term of the equation. So we get x minus 1 times x plus 1 times 1 divided by x minus 1 minus x minus 1 times x plus 1 times 2x divided by x plus 1 equals x minus 1 times x plus 1 times 2 divided by x plus 1. Simplifying each product leaves us with 1 times x plus 1, or x plus 1, minus 2x times x minus 1 equals 2 times x minus 1. Distributing, we get x plus 1 minus 2x squared plus 2x equals 2x minus 2. Combining like terms, we have negative 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 equals 2x minus 2. We notice this is a quadratic equation that we must set to 0 and try to solve by factoring. Because we have a negative 2x squared on the left, we will add the 2x squared to the right to get the left side 0 and the right side the quadratic. So we will add 2x squared to each side, subtract 3x, and subtract 1. This gives us 0 is equal to 2x squared. 2x minus 3x is minus x. And minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. We solve this by factoring, by trial and error, or the AC method. 2x squared is 2x and x. The factors of 3 are 3 and 1. We need to arrange those in the right order. We need different signs in the binomials, with the larger being negative. So the larger of the outer and inner is this inner term, so we make the 3 negative and the 1 positive. Now we set each of those factors to 0 to solve. We get 2x minus 3 equals 0, or x plus 1 equals 0. Adding 3 gives us 2x equals 3, or 3 halves. Subtracting 1, we get x equals negative 1. So this process of clearing fractions and solving the quadratic gave us possible solutions of 3 halves and negative 1. But if you remember our restrictions, x cannot be negative 1. So negative 1 is not valid in the original equation. Our solution set then is just the set containing 3 halves. The only difference between this section and the earlier section where we discussed rational equations is that the resulting equation is a quadratic equation, not a linear equation. Another example is 2 divided by x plus 3 minus 2 divided by x squared plus 2x minus 3 equals 3x divided by x minus 1. We need to factor the x squared plus 2x minus 3. That factors as x plus 3 times x minus 1. The least common denominator is the product x plus 3 times x minus 1. The restrictions are that x cannot be negative 3 and x cannot be 1. Now we multiply each side by the LCD. Again, that is equivalent to distributing to each of the terms. So x plus 3 times x minus 1 times 2 divided by x plus 3 minus x plus 3 times x minus 1 times 2 divided by x plus 3 times x minus 1. And that is equal to x plus 3 times x minus 1 times 3x divided by x minus 1. Multiplying, we get 2 times x minus 1 minus 2 equals 3x times x plus 3. Distributing gives us 2x minus 2 equals 3x squared plus 9x. Combining like terms, we get 2x minus 4 equals 3x squared plus 9x. Note that this is a quadratic equation. We get one side equal to 0. We can do that by subtracting 2x and adding 4 to each side. We get 0 is equal to 3x squared plus 7x plus 4. And now factoring, 3x squared is 3x times x. To get the 4, we can put the factors of 4 and 1, and we check that the outer is 3x, the inner is 4x, and those do combine to be 7x. All signs are positive. So we get 3x plus 4 is equal to 0, which gives us 3x equals negative 4, or x is negative 4/3. Or x plus 1 is equal to 0, which gives us x equals negative 1. Neither of these are restrictions on the variable, so our solution set is negative 4/3, negative 1.